Hi, welcome to IELTS Pro Tribe. I'm Aliyah. Today's lesson, we're going to look at how to do the matching heading questions in IELTS reading. There are 4 items in today's agenda. First, we will have a review of what is predicting and previewing skill, and then we'll look at some facts about matching heading questions. And then we'll look in detail the steps to complete matching heading questions. And last but not least, we'll look at 2 examples. One short one and another longer examples from an actual Cambridge IELTS exam. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. First of all, I want to start with a review of what is previewing and predicting skill. I've talked about previewing and predicting skill in previous reading lessons. I will link the video in the description box. If you haven't watched that video, please make sure you watch that class before this one. It's very important. Okay, I've concluded previewing and predicting skill to these 4 simple steps. The first thing I recommend students to do is to look at the headings, subheadings, and some pictures of the article to have a general idea of what this passage is about. And there are 3 questions that you should ask yourself while you're previewing the entire text. First, what do you already know about the topic? Using your existing knowledge about the topic while you're reading is crucial in understanding what the reading passage is trying to tell you. The second question you should ask yourself is that what this passage may talk about. If it's a report, they will talk about researches. If it's a historical account, then the information will be organized in chronological order. Then the last question you ask yourself is, what information may be involved? The last question is closely related to what type of passage you're reading. So please make sure you watch the previous lessons. I've talked about it in the last class. Okay. Then let's look at some Then let's look at the matching heading questions. First of all, you should remember that the order principle we talked about in the reading. First of all, you need to remember that the order principle we talked about in IELTS reading do not apply to this type of question. The second thing is that the list of headings will always come before the actual passage. The exam is designed this way because students are encouraged to read the list of headings before they read the passage. They're trying to encourage students to use previewing and predicting skill to answer this type of question. The third thing we need to remember is that there will always be more headings than the actual paragraphs, which means that there may be 1 or 2 choices that will never be chosen in the answers. So keep that in mind. The last thing is that the heading for the first paragraph sometimes is already chosen for you. You can use that choice to help you better understand the passage. But it's not always a guarantee. Sometimes you have to choose all the headings for all the paragraphs. So it always depends. Okay, now let's look at the steps to actually complete the matching heading questions. The first thing we do is obviously preview the headings and the first paragraph of the passage. We do this in order to have a general understanding of what this passage is talking about, the topic of the passage, and the passage type. Is it a report? Is it a historical account? Is it a news? Or is it a description of process? This is important because different passage type actually organize information in a different way. The second step, obviously, is to predict what the passage is talking about. The first step and the second step usually is integrated together. Most of the time when students read the passage, they do these 2 steps at the same time. The third step is to read the list of headings before you read the passage. And the fourth step is to predict what each paragraph would be talking about if it matches with certain headings. The third step and the fourth step usually happen at the same time when you're reading the list of headings. When you're reading a list of headings, there are a few tricks to help you predict. So let me do a quick summary here. The first thing we need to do is to look at the headings of the passage, possibly the first paragraph, to predict what this passage is talking about. And then we need to look at the list of headings to also using predicting skill to predict what each paragraph will be talking about. Okay, let me use an example to help you understand what this steps actually means. Okay, let's look at this example. Below is the first paragraph from an article about horses. Skim through the paragraph and choose which heading best matches the paragraph. This example is just an extraction of a paragraph. It doesn't have a heading for the passage. So let's take a look at the pictures here. In the picture, there are a few horses. Obviously, this passage will be talking about horses. They already tell you that in a question. So let's look at the few choices. A, playing a less essential role. Less essential means less important. This is a comparison here, which means that in the passage, there will also be comparison. Compare the current role to another one to make a contrast, telling you that it's less essential right now. And playing a less essential role. What exactly is that role? There will also be descriptions in the paragraph to tell you what are those roles. Okay, choices B. An ancient species. Ancient means very old. In order to tell the reader that it is very old, obviously there will be a time description. When it first existed in the history, and how long have this species existed in the history as well. That's how you tell the reader it's actually ancient. And look at and pay attention, and also pay attention here. And also pay attention here. An ancient species, which means that there will only be one. Choices B. The fastest breeds of horses. Breeds of horses, this is a plural form here, which means there will be more than one. Otherwise, you wouldn't be using plural form. Fastest, how fast are they? And once again, fastest, there is also a comparison here. Obviously, they will compare the speed of the horse to another species, possibly, or to something that reader is familiar to tell the reader that this is the fastest breed of horse. Let's look at choice D. What the earliest horses looks like. In order to tell how they look like, there will be descriptions of the appearance of the horse. How tall are they? How long is their tail? Or the color of the horses, and other features. Obviously, there will be descriptions of the appearance. Otherwise, how would the reader understand what the horses look like, right? This is what we do when we're previewing the choices, the list of headings of the passage. The list of headings are usually very short descriptions, so we really have to try to dig the information out of those short descriptions. I recommend students to focus on adjective and then think about what the author would say in that paragraph in order to give information to the reader. For example, think about how the author would present the information so that the reader would understand the horses now are playing a less essential role. By asking yourself these questions, students can really predict what the passage will talk about, and when you actually read the passage, skim through the passage, you will be quicker and less confusing for you to find the heading of the passage. And when you actually skim through the paragraphs, it will be quicker and less confusing for you to match the headings. Okay, let's read the paragraph. I'll give you guys 1 minute to read through it. Okay. Do you have an answer yet? Let's skim through the passage real quick and find the answer. Horses have been racing across the landscape for around 55 million years. 55 million years, that's a long time. There's a time description here. And the second thing I noticed would be in the third line. Ice Age, show that at the end of the Ice Age, 10,000 years ago, white horses died out of Americans. What else? But they continue to thrive in Europe and Central Asia. Most of the scholars believe that the people domesticated these horses. However, horses is very diverse. Maybe descendant from a number of different wild horses population. Okay, I believe the choice. My answer to this list. I believe answer B is the heading for this passage. Why? First of all, 5 million years here, an ice age from 10,000 years ago, and would tell you this species have existed for a very long time. And it's also inconsistent with the single form of an ancient species, just one species. Students may be confused about choice D, the earliest horses looks like. Yeah, the description for earliest is shown here, 55 million years ago. However, there is no description about how those horses looks like, other than the picture. And then choices A would also be incorrect, play a less essential role. What are these roles? In the paragraph, it never actually described any role that the horse played. It only tell you how long it existed and the ancestors of these horses. So the answer is B. Okay. Now let's take a look at a longer example from an actual IELTS reading test. So now let's take a look at an actual example from IELTS reading test. This is from the Cambridge Book 12. Okay. Before we start, let's have a quick review of the steps that we just talked about in today's lesson. First, preview and predict from the heading of the passage to think about what this passage will be talk about. Okay, then let's start from the first step, previewing the entire passage to have an idea of what this passage will be talking about. What's the purpose of gaining knowledge? The purpose of gaining knowledge. Gaining knowledge means study. The purpose of study. Well, I study to build skills, to help my career, to help me achieve my life goal. Those are the purpose of gaining knowledge, I believe. But this may not be enough information to help you understand the entire passage. So let's quickly skim through the first paragraph. I'll give you 30 seconds to do that. Okay, so we have an idea that this passage, the author will be talking about what he believes should be the purpose, the goal, the aim of people learning knowledge, and people going to school, attending courses. Okay, so the second step, preview the list of headings and predict what each paragraph will be talking about if it matches with the list of headings. When we're previewing the headings, ask ourselves two questions here. Think about words, vocabulary related to the topic, and also what you would like to know about this topic, how the author would organize information. Since we're choosing the heading of each paragraph, so we really should ask ourselves, how would the author organize information so that the purpose of this paragraph is to present reader with this information. Okay, let's look at the list of headings. There will be six questions here. However, there will be 8 choices, which means 2 of them will never be chosen. The first paragraph is not chosen for you, unluckily. So let's take a look. Courses that require a higher level of commitment. A high level of commitment. What are those commitment? What should the students do? Maybe the instructor is expecting students to read more research. So what are those commitment? In that paragraph, possibly there will be those information. Courses that require a high level of commitment. Courses, there's a plural form. Obviously, there will not be just one course. Okay, let's take a look at the second one. A course title with 2 meanings. Well, that's very specific, isn't it? One course title, 2 meanings. These numbers are very important because they will only be talking about one course and there will be 2 meanings talked about in that passage. If a course title has 2 meanings, obviously there will be some confusion there, I believe. Okay, let's look at the third one. The equal importance of 2 key issues. The numbers here in the list is very important. 2 key issues. They obviously will talk about 2. If they only talk about 1, then this heading will not be the match. If it talks about more than 2, if it talks about 3 issues, then this won't be a match as well. Equal importance of 2 key issues. How would the author present it that it is equally important? The fourth choice, applying a theory in an unexpected context. Unexpected means you have never thought about it before. It may come to you as a surprise. Or it may be a interesting inspiration from someone. Okay, let's look at the fifth one. The financial benefits of studying. Well, very clear here. Financial benefits relates to money. Maybe we'll talk about higher salaries. There obviously will be money involved, or you may be promoted faster. Financial benefits of studying. Okay. The sixth one, a surprising course title. A title, just one, not 2. Surprising course title always come to you as a surprise, meaning unexpected. Okay, let's take a look at the 7th one. Different names for different outcomes. Names, outcomes, plural form, not just one, maybe 2 or more than 2. Different names for different outcomes. So it will be called differently, different names for outcome, but the cause may be the same, just the outcome is different. And since the outcome is different, we call those action a different name, I assume. Okay, the 7th one, the possibility of attracting the wrong kind of student. A possibility here. What is wrong about the students? What is the wrong kind of students? Well, I'm not so sure here. Let's put a question mark. So you see, this is what I will be thinking about in the previewing and predicting process of when I read the list of headings. Sometimes I will ask myself questions. I don't always find the answer to the question, but that is okay because the key here is to, in your mind, predict what the passage, predict what the paragraph will be talking about. This is actually the crucial process to help you choose the headings when you read the paragraphs. So, okay, I will give you guys 10 minutes to skim through this passage and find the answer. I've already attached the PDF form of this passage in the description box, so feel free to download Feel free to download it if this screen is too difficult for you to understand. And then in the meanwhile, please pause this video until you already completed those 6 questions. And I will see you soon. Okay, I believe you have completed all the 6 matching heading questions. So let's take a look at the passage and find the answers together. Paragraph A. I would found an institution where any person can find instruction in any subject. That was the founder's model for Cornell University, and it seems an apt characterization of the different university, also in the USA, where I currently teach philosophy. Okay, and then that's the first 2 sentences. Let's look at the last 2 sentences. But what would the founders of these 2 institutions have thought about a course called Arson for Profit? I kid you not, we have it on the book. I kid you not, we have it on the book. It sounds like I kid you not, it sounds like author believe the reader may not believe it. Arsenal of Profit, called Arsenal of Profit. Obviously, that's the title of the course. So the heading for this for paragraph A would be a surprising course title. Okay, paragraph B. Naturally, the course is intended for prospective arson investigators who can learn all the tricks of the trade for detecting whether a fire was deliberately set, discovering who did it, and establishing a chain of evidence for effective prosecution in a court of law. Okay, so this course is originally designed for firefighters and law enforcement agencies. Okay, arson investigators. Okay, let's look at the last sentence. However, it's not unknown for firefighters to torch buildings. Interesting. The example suggests how dishonest and illegal behavior with the help of higher education can creep into every aspect of public life. I see. So this course is originally designed for arson investigators, law enforcement, but some criminals may attend this course as well and learn how to set fires. Okay. The heading for paragraph B is this one. The possibility of attracting the wrong kind of students. Well, I believe paragraph B actually answered my question. What kind of student would you call wrong? Obviously, if students have the bad intention, illegal intention to set fire, that would be called the wrong kind of student. Okay, let's look at paragraph C. I realized this anew when I was invited to speak before a class in marketing, which is another of our degree programs. The regular instructor is a colleague who appreciated the kind of ethical perspective I can bring as a philosopher. Okay, let's look at that. Many of the students immediately assume that the answer to my question about marketing principle is no. Everything under the sun can be marketed. Obviously, I need not be done in a principled fashion. The answer to my question. What is the question? Okay, it made me think to ask the students, is marketing principled? Principles of marketing. Actually, principles and principled, they have different meanings. Principles means the rules of marketing, the way to market, the method, the approach to market a product. And principled here, see, they have a description here, means ethical, moral. Well, I can see how these 2 meanings can be confused. Principles and principled. Okay. The matching headings for paragraph C would be a course title with 2 meanings. it would be perfect. There would be one course title and two meanings. What is the course title? Course title is here. The title of the course, Principle for Marketing. There are two meanings. Principle means rules and principled, ethical. Okay, let's look at paragraph D. Is that obvious? It means, okay, this is a short paragraph here. Let's just read it. Is that obvious? I made a suggestion which may sound downright crazy in light of the evidence that perhaps marketing is by definition principled. My inspiration for this judgment is the philosopher Kant, who argued that any body of knowledge consists of an end and a mean. Okay, here's a quote. My inspiration of this judgment, any body of knowledge consists of an purpose and a mean. By definition, principled. To be honest, when I first look at this paragraph D, I'm a little bit confused here because this is the shortest paragraph here. Usually, if the paragraph is the shortest, that means there just isn't enough information for you to detect which heading to choose. So, what do we do here when we are not sure about which heading to choose for paragraph D? We just leave it alone for now. So paragraph D is undecided. We will decide it later. Let's move on to paragraph E. Okay. Let us apply both the term means and end to marketing. The students have signed up for a course in order to learn how to market effectively. But to what end? One of the answers is obvious, the purpose of marketing. The end means the purpose here, I believe, is to sell things and to make money. Okay, let's look at the last few sentences. A field of knowledge or a professional endeavor is defined by both the means and the end. Hence, both deserve scrutiny. Students need to study both how to achieve X and also what X is. Okay, the italicized word both. And I want to choose the equal importance. Where is it? Okay, here, this one. The equal importance of two key issues. Why I would choose this equal importance here of two key issues. I believe in the passage there are two key issues and they're equally important. The equal importance is stressed by the author. See, hence both deserve scrutiny. That's why they're equally important. And then there are two key issues here. What are those two key issues? How to achieve X, also what X is. That's the two key issue. Okay, let's look at the last paragraph. It is at this point that arsenal of profit becomes supremely relevant. That course is presumably all about means, how to detect and prosecute criminal activity. It is therefore assumed that the end is good in an ethical sense. Similarly, if you employ the principle of marketing in an unprincipled way, you would not be doing marketing. When we have another term for it, fraud, another term for it, okay? Kant gives the example of a doctor and a prisoner who use the identical knowledge to achieve their divergent ends, okay? We would say that one is practicing medicine, the another murder. Very interesting. So if you do marketing in a principled way, it's called marketing. It's called marketing. And if you do it in an unprincipled way, it's called fraud. If you practice medicine in a principled way, you're a doctor. And if you practice medicine in an unprincipled way, you are a murderer. So I believe the heading for this one would be different names for different outcomes. The cause is the same, the mean is the same in this context, but the outcome is different and we have different names for it. Fraud, marketing, and doctors versus murderers. So, okay, now let's take a look at all the choices we have done. We have chosen this one as well. And section D is undecided. We have 4 unchosen headings here. Let's rule them out since we have already read the passage and we cannot decide what's the heading for passage for paragraph D. So let's rule those choices out. Courses that require a higher level of commitment. Okay, higher level of commitment. I don't believe paragraph D described any commitment here. Okay, so D is also ruled out. This one is also ruled out. A course title with 2 meanings. Okay, we have chosen this one as well. Okay. Applying a theory in an unexpected context. A theory. What is the theory? What is an unexpected context? This one may be the heading, I would say. What is the theory? The quote. Here's a quote. Who argue that any body of knowledge consists of an end and a means. And this is a quote from a philosopher. This is the theory of that philosopher, I believe. And later on in the passage, we'll keep on talking about how to apply that quote to different contexts. So maybe I'm leaning towards this one. Okay, but let's look at the other choice. The financial benefits of studying. Financial benefits. I don't believe paragraph D talked about financial benefit. No money was mentioned in paragraph D. Therefore, I would choose E. Okay, and let's look at the answer sheet here. Here we go. I believe you have answered everything correct. So yeah, this is how we do matching heading questions. I've went through this example with you guys in detail. So please try it out using previewing and predicting skill. Previewing. And please remember, read the list of headings first before you read the passage. And when you read the list of headings, predict. And hopefully those skills will help you to tackle this matching heading questions. So try it out. Leave a comment and tell me how you feel about this technique, how you feel about this skill. Maybe you have some more questions. I will answer your questions as soon as possible. Thank you so much for attending today's class. I'll see you in my next class. Bye.